Hello. I will waffle on for a minute while people come in. We have got, oh, nice to see everybody. Oh, I can see people. Hello, Naran. How are you? Hello, Natalie. Hello, Laura. How are you doing? It's always really nice to see everybody coming in. Bryony, hello. Bettina, how are you? Ben, how are you? Um, Thank you all very much for joining us today. This is actually the most signed up for briefing that we have done since the last one, actually, that Priyamvada did for us on working with Indian expats, which is currently our highest rated YouTube briefing. So it is wonderful to have you back. Thank you so much. We have got, I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping, got 259 people signed up for today. Obviously, we normally only get half of that, coming in live. This is being recorded, so I will get that edit done over the weekend and send everybody who signed up the link to the recording. So if you do have to step away for any reason, don't worry, you can come back and you will be able to go over the session. It is a huge pleasure to welcome Priyamvada Majumdar to this session. I'm so grateful for you being here. It came up to me in Malta and said, could we do something about AI as a briefing? And I was like, yes, please. It's probably the most requested topic. We've just got all the SurveyMonkey results back from the Malta conference survey that we sent out, the evaluation that we sent out. And certainly AI was a very hot topic in Malta. So I'm really grateful for you to be here today to take us through AI for relocation professionals. When we were talking yesterday, I've got to say, your knowledge is so great and so far beyond mine. So just to say to everybody, thank you very much to everybody saying hello, hello, Dean, how are you? Hi, James, how are you doing? Just to let you all know, we will hold Q&A to the end. If you've got a question you'd like to put, and obviously it's related to something that Priya's talking about at a particular slide, just pop a note into the chat box and I will come back to you. The session is limited to an hour, so we'll get through as many questions as we can. But obviously the content is really important. So I think probably just one other thing is if you want to put a note into the chat box in Zoom, sometimes the default is host and panelists. If you'd like that question to go to everybody, just click down on the little drop thing and select everyone. But if you're happy with host and panelists, then just go ahead and put it to the host and panelists, and I'll do my best to get round to everybody at the end of the session. In the meantime, we've got 117 people have joined us so far, which is great. So I think probably, if you're happy, we will get going. Okay, super. So Priya, I know you're going to share your state. Thank you again for being with us. I'm really looking forward to this session.
Thank you so much, Dom. And really a big thanks to you, Ra, that you are letting me do this presentation. Just for all those who are here, big hello from India. The aim of the session, because I know a lot of you are already working with AI, so I will not be presenting something which is high-end or very advanced level AI. It would be something very basic with examples of what has worked for us when we have tried to use different tools and what we have learned. And I hope by sharing that with all of you, it would be of help to you in your day-to-day work, whether it's immigration, relocation, or any other mobility service. Having said that, we will start and we will keep all the Q&A at the end, which Dom will help me with. And I will try to answer your questions to the best of my ability. So today we will cover some of the key points. First, there's a lot of jargon used in AI, so I've tried to explain each one of them. Some of the AI tools that we use commonly and that are quite popular. Use cases for mobility. So I have taken examples of how we have used different AI tools for different aspects of our work within the office. Some key points to remember when you're using an AI tool: GDPR and data privacy, of course. I've also put a slide on pricing, free versus paid, so you have an idea, and any red flags or guardrails. So since this is a Friday, I thought why not begin with alcohol as an example. So just to give you a little bit of a history lesson here, I perhaps you know it already. It's a fun fact that after the first nuclear tests in 1945, almost all wine bottles or wine contain amounts of radioactive isotopes. And in fact, wine connoisseurs or investigators test the vintage of a wine or whether they are really old and dated pre 1945 by checking whether it has that radioactive isotope. Because all grapes, all crops, everything retained some amount, because all soil retains some amount of the radioactive isotope. So, why am I saying all this? It is because since AI boomed, I would say, last year, there is very little in our life that is not impacted by AI. And I think whether we like it or not, we have to somewhat get on the train and accept and learn a little bit on our journey on how to use AI because we are surrounded by it today. It's in every walk of life. So, the nerd corner, some stories about AI, which you might know already. So here are some big names which you might already know about. And you will see that in the world, there are two big players of AI. One is US and the other is China. Most people know about the American companies, whether it's Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and so on. In China, it's Baidu, Xiaomi, Alibaba, DeepSeek, Tencent, and Huawei. You will notice that they're similar players today because a lot of you are joining in from Europe and perhaps from India. There aren't such big names in Europe and in India. And particularly for India, this has been a little stressful for the economy because we are seeing investors pulling out because they don't see big players of technology in India today. Here's the AI pyramid. Now, I'll tell you why I have made this as I go through the slide. So there are a couple of things which are very important for the AI technology to survive. The first is power. The second is chips. And perhaps many of you would have heard the name of the company called NVIDIA everywhere in the news because they have a monopoly in semiconductors and chip making technology. Then there is the data centers, and finally the skill set. So why is this important? For those of you who are joining in from US, I don't know if you are, you would have heard in the news that there has been a huge backlash from farming communities in the US against building data centers. This is because data centers require tremendous amount of power and water, and therefore this is not a sustainable technology. And this increases the cost of living for farmers and dips into their resources. Countries or governments that have made robust policies to incorporate these four into their governance or into their countries are today leading the AI game. This is a survey by Oxford. I thought it might be interesting for those who are again joining in from Europe. It's the AI Readiness Index. And you will see that in terms of development, AI infrastructure, public sector adoption, US is very much ahead of the game here. However, when it comes to governance, Europe is very robust in its governance. More and more, when you watch the news, you see, particularly sometimes when I watch French news, I see that it's very important for the European governments to have some amount of control about the usage of AI and how it's percolating into everyday life. And somewhere, for lack of better word, they want to nationalize it or keep a grip on it. In the US, for the most part till now, It it has been a very the government has given a free hand for the development of AI, but this is something that might change in the coming months. So perhaps you know that the G7 summit is going on, and during the G7 summit, um, the president of US came along with Sam Altman and the owner of Anthropic, and there were a lot of European leaders who were taken aback by this invitation of the AI company owners in a G7 summit, because there was no representation from companies in Europe or in China. And it seemed very US specific. And this has an impact again on how AI, or how well, US still holds the monopoly in the AI game today. The AI is being called the fourth industrial revolution, and not to dampen the mood, I think in US and India, we are feeling the impact of AI quite harshly. Just to give you an example, the city of Bangalore is within the region of Karnataka. About a week ago, the chief minister of the region, um, in his speech, mentioned that in the next 3 years, 50% of workers in IT might lose their job. He didn't provide a solution, but this was the announcement made. And we are seeing large scale firing of employees in Bangalore. In the last 2 months, close to 30,000 employees were let go, either because of AI or budget cuts. And this slowly is having an impact on the real estate market and on mobility. So today, for instance, in Bangalore, when I order food through an app, I get a little voucher that says AI course, learn for free with this voucher. So there is this AI course available all over the place. It's stuck on lampposts. You get the vouchers on the streets. It's just upskill, 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 so you don't become redundant. So the fear is real here. That said, I don't want to just sound like it's all doom and gloom. AI is helpful. Like all revolution, I suppose there is going to be some disruption before things settle down or policies come into place to protect people. And I think we are in that transition stage now. We move on to decoding the jargon. So, to begin with, for some time now, we have had what we call is traditional AI. It is an AI where humans don't interact with an application or with a browser or a tool, but there are algorithms created which comes into play when we, for example, watch Netflix. And I will give you the example as I go to the next slide. Then we have generative AI. I think all of you must have heard of generative AI because you're all at least using ChatGPT. Generative AI simply means an AI tool that generates information, images, code, data for you. And these are based on large language models, or LLMs, which means that you type in some information and it generates a result for you. Typical examples of that is ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, and they can all be accessed by a browser. You don't have to download an app. And finally, there is agentic AI. This is for those who have gone far into their journey of AI. This is where you train your AI to conduct tasks on your behalf. In order to create agentic AI, you need to give the AI tool access to your apps or your system. Today, we will not talk a lot about this because this is it's an advanced level of AI. for those who are already used to using the traditional and the generative AI in day-to-day life. So here's an example of generative AI, I'm sorry, of traditional AI. So this is the Netflix my account, which I share with my mom, who watches a lot of K-drama. So you will see, do you see this line that says, because you watched Undercover Miss Hong, and they will suggest other Korean K-dramas. Or because you watched Do Revenge, they will suggest other serials or movies with similar either characters or storylines or cities. This is traditional AI. You have not interacted with Netflix or asked for it. There's an algorithm inbuilt in Netflix that throws up this suggestion for you. We move on to an example of what is generative AI. I know that all of you must know about this already, but I will just play this anyway. This is ChatGPT, where I'm asking ChatGPT to write an email to a potential client about services of Helma. And because I've already fed Helma International's website to ChatGPT, it knows from where to pull this data from. It also knows what my role is within Helma, and so it generates this information. And it's an easy copy paste. I don't have to think of the mail that I want to create. Sorry. So this is just an example. I think all of you have used it to create mails at some point. So this is a very basic, how do I say, example of generative AI. Then here is an example of agentic AI, where you use Claude. This is one of the Anthropic tools that is being used more and more by everybody today, where you can tell Claude, please organize my downloads folder into images, documents, and by dates. So you give Claude access, you train Claude, and you give Claude access to your downloads folder, and it will organize it for you based on your instruction. Please note, do not do this without you informing your IT team, because what happens with agentic AI many a times, they do not automatically have an undo button. So it's a bit like, you want gin and tonic, and instead of the person giving you the tonic can, while you're chatting with your friends, they decide to pour the whole tonic, and then you cannot adjust the potency of the alcohol and the tonic water. You cannot undo it. So it's a bit like that. There are agentic AIs that can be trained to undo. There are those that can't. So if you don't know, do not give access to your system or any application without the blessings from your IT team. What does the agentic AI do? One of the key jobs of agentic AI is to be a persistent assistant. What does that mean? It will go on and on trying till it gets the result that I've asked him for. For instance, Make My Trip is an application in India to book flight tickets. Booking.com, all of you know, is for hotels. And then that's my Google Calendar. If I give Claude access to my Make My Trip account, to my Booking.com account, and to my calendar, and I tell Claude, I'm going to Malta for Jura. Please book my flight. I want a flight which transits via, I don't know, Munich with a maximum layover of 4 hours. I want to reach on so and so date. I would like to stay in a hotel which is not more than 800 meters from Hilton. This should be the budget. These are the dates. Go ahead and book it for me. Claude will do that. If I give Claude my credit card details, it will do the entire work. What I won't do is give the credit card details, and I can tell Claude, please do everything till the point of payment. In such a case, Claude will shortlist for me the flight, the hotel, and then wait till I pay and make complete the booking. This is really time saving, because otherwise I would have had to do it manually, search for the flights in Skyscanner, come back to Make My Trip, book the tickets, and so on and so forth. So Claude that's why called a persistent assistant. There's something, fun fact, that AI is unable to do as of today. You may notice this screen many a times when you log into a new site or go to want to create an account where you have to click certain photos to prove that you're not a robot. AI, for some reason, is unable to go around this system. So today, AI hires humans just for this bit of the work. So the tables have turned a bit. Your AI tools. So ChatGPT, of course. What I've done in this slide is I've tried to highlight which tool is used for what or works best for what. Personally, ChatGPT is really strong on content writing. Still, it is one of the best tools for content writing, whether it's for marketing, your emails. I don't know, you're a panelist in for Eura and you want the content or somebody to read it. ChatGPT is still very good at that. Then you have Claude. Claude does You don't have to worry about the agentic part, but basic Claude is very good at doing tasks. Create this PowerPoint. For instance, the PowerPoint that I am using is 80% done by AI, by Claude. It can make templates, it can analyze documents, and I will show you examples of what kind of outputs it can generate for you. Gemini. So Gemini is Google's AI tool. And personally, I feel that for at least any research I need to do about immigration law or real estate for India, Gemini is very good. Perhaps for those in the US or I don't know, in Europe, Grok, which is Elon Musk's company, his AI tool works better for you. But for us in India, Gemini seems to be the most precise and most up to date when it comes to research. Gemini is also very good at generating images. Also, because it's part of the Google universe, it can link to Google Docs and Google Sheets and create videos for you. Then there is Copilot. Now, all of us who are working with Microsoft Office, we should, unless they are pirated, we should have a business standard plan. If you have a business standard plan, by default, you get Copilot with it. And Copilot, because it's within the Microsoft universe, you can use it to create PowerPoints, help you with email answers. When you do Teams call, Copilot can summarize the call. It can tell you what are the actionable points and who attended the call. So this is particularly important if you have a first kickoff call with a assignee for home search. Everything is just captured in a few seconds and you can send it back to the assignee. Or if you're having a first call with a client, HR, it does the same thing for you. It's simpler, and please know that by default, the business standard version of Microsoft is GDPR compliant. And last is Canva. Canva is a tool that we are using more and more for PowerPoint presentations and for sending proposals to our clients because it's much more effective and how do I say, better in its and has AI in it when it comes to visual presentations. Versatile is the word I was looking for. Just like you create master slides on PowerPoint, you can create your brand templates on Canva so that all proposals look similar, have the same color palette, the images and so forth, same font, and so that you don't have to redo it for every presentation that you make. This is something I thought might be important for you because it took us a bit of a time to learn ourselves. When it comes to Claude or ChatGPT, If you want to create an account, why don't you create your company account with Gmail? So Gmail allows, you're allowed to have a Google account, which is with your company official email ID. This helps because any employee that uses Claude or ChatGPT for office work happens within an official email ID, and you can retain that. So this is something that is helpful. You can ask your employees to share their Google account and password with you for their searches or projects that they have created through Claude and ChatGPT. Copilot and Canva is directly, you don't need a Google account. You can do it with your Office official account. Gemini, however, does not work with an Office account, at least not in India. You need a proper private Gmail account for it. Good to know that Microsoft has tied up with ChatGPT. So my suggestion to you is that please do all your searches through Copilot search because it is by default GDPR compliant, hoping that all of you have at least the Microsoft Business Standard plan, which I'm guessing all of you do. Plugins. So plugins are where two universes or two applications can work together. So I will give you an example. For instance, this is ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, you have something called apps. When you click on the app, it will show you, all the apps that are linked that you can connect with ChatGPT, whether it's TripAdvisor, because I use it for travel, or booking.com, or it is Canva. So you can create the content on ChatGPT and then go to Canva to export that content into a template that you like. That way you don't have to find something in ChatGPT, copy it, then try to make it on slide by slide in Canva. So this is what is called plugins. ChatGPT is the best when it comes to plugins. Claude has very few plugins. Claude prefers that you give it access to your systems and apps. Okay, I continue. This is perhaps the most important part of when working with AI tools is the prompt. Many a times you may be dissatisfied with what the generative AI is giving you as a response. And say 7 times out of 10, it is perhaps because you have not explained clearly what is it you want from that person. So the 4 things to remember when creating a prompt, whether it's on Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude, is who are you? Tell your role. I'm a relocation consultant. I'm a manager of a relocation company with 10 years experience, whatever you want to say about yourself. You don't have to give your name. Ask specifically what you want the tool to do for you. Do you want them to write an email? Do you want them to check an email? Do you want them to summarize an email? Do you want them to write an email, and on what topic? So be as specific as you can. Give relevant background or context. And finally, please tell in what format you want the final product to be. Do you want it to generate it in an Excel format, in a PowerPoint format, as an email, as a potential image? This is the golden rule of working with AI tools. Be as specific as you can when you're giving your prompts. If your prompt is poor, the output will be poor or dissatisfactory. I've given some use cases and examples that we have done. So for instance, visa step-by-step tracker for an Indian HR. As you might know that you can have tools and reporting tools, and I know James is here. There are HR managers who still want something on an Excel sheet. They want this list of documents. Where are we on it? So we had a project for sending Indians to Spain on a short-term assignment, and we asked, I needed a template. So instead of creating one from scratch, I told Claude, please create a template with our logo, which is required to be sent to an Indian HR manager with the list of documents required for an Indian going on short-term permit to Spain. I would like the entire document checklist from assignee and company, the process and timeline. That is all I said. I did not input any other data. It pulled out all the documents required for Spain from assignee, home company, host company, translations required or apostille. What is the phase 3 post arrival, what has to be done, and where are we, and who is in charge of which part of the journey? Is it Helma? Is it the client? Is it the host company, or is it the assignee? And then it chalks out automatically week by week who has to do what and where we are at. So honestly, this saved an enormous amount of time compared to if I had to create something that looked like this for a customer. The next one was creating. So this was just, I think, 2 weeks before Hura when my flight got canceled and there was so much stress. There was an RFP that came to us for payroll and HR admin services in 6 countries, except the company did not give us an RFP grid or a pricing grid. They gave us a 10-page, heavily intense document with a lot of payroll jargon, and they told us, figure it out. There was no way that I could send this document to 6 partners in 6 countries and ask them to complete it. So what I had to do is take the PDF, remove all confidential data from there, that is key, upload it on Claude and tell, look, Claude, I need you to create a tariff grid from the cahier des charges, because it was a French client, which means scope of work. This is for an RFP, which I will send out to 5 countries. Make a sheet per country. Please use the data from the PDF to create subsections of services and tell each partner how to fill the sheet. So there you go. This was created in exactly 10 minutes. So first, it created an instruction guide for each partner. Then per country, it has given what details I need from the partner. Then it has subcategorized each service and the total at the end. This was so beautiful. I cannot tell you how much time it saved and how much worry it saved me from. Of course, I cannot send it as is to the partners. I had it cross-verified with our head of advisory in France, and then we sent it out to our partners. But it's much easier to verify than to write from scratch, is all I'm saying. Explaining Passeport Talent. So, Passeport Talent is a type of visa or immigration process in France. If you want something very basic, so I said, explain what a Passeport Talent visa is to a senior executive relocating to France from the US. Plain English, no legal jargon, under 200 words. So this is what it created in an HTML format so that you can just put the link. There you go. It's like an infographic, beautiful colors, and all the details are here. And you can just copy paste this link and put it in the body of the email so that they can read it instead of a long email with sub points and subcategories. We did something similar, but this is only for practice. This is just because I was doing this training for you. We tried to do a relocation guide for Paris. Create an HTML file for expats coming to Paris, basic overview of rental market, key pointers for lease, sim, repairs. That's it. I have to say it was not a very good prompt, but this is what Claude, again, I'm really partial to Claude, as you can see, created. So you click on each one of these segments are clickable. You have the basic housing market overview. What is it you need to create your file for relocation or for your rental agreement? What is the difference between furnished and unfurnished? What is the income rule? Then we had, by arrondissement. So every one of it is clickable and it will change by giving you a little idea of what the arrondissement contains, the vibe, and the cost. Then you have a lease guide. What are the steps? Then what is the difference between a broker and a relocation company? Something we get asked quite often. SIM and banking, there you go. Markets, supermarkets, when they are open, where are they located, and so on. Repairs, who does which repair, what is whose liability, responsibility, landlord versus tenant. And finally, a checklist that every assignee should have to get a lease agreement in France. Again, very quickly done by Claude. When you have the free version of Claude, it is possible that you will get this message: you have run out of automation for today. Please wait for 6 hours till it comes back. That's okay. Wait 6 hours. It's still better than doing it yourself.
Priya, can I
Then,
interrupt just 1 second?
yes,
Because there's a very good question that's come in that really relates to exactly what you've just been talking about, which is when you've created one of those guides, for example, the Guide to Paris, can you edit it?
yes, no, yes and no. So I can edit it. So I can do reiterations in Claude. Claude, you got this part wrong, redo it. Or I can upload the HTML file onto Canva and do the edits there. And I will show you what I mean about that.
Brilliant.
So I will show you right away. So this is an immigration email. So for one of our clients, we do legalization and consular service in Paris for Saudi Arabia. So French people from Paris going to Saudi. This was the original traditional email that we have been sending them. How to apostille your diploma, then how to do the QVP check, then what documents are required from your host company, what you need to do, what are the list of, it's overwhelming. So what we thought is, why not ask Claude to make it easier and more readable? So this is what Claude came up with. And you will notice that I have uploaded the HTML file onto Canva, and I will tell you why. One is to answer Dominic's question to edit it here. So this is what it looks like. It first tells you what the steps are on top, and then every step has a drop-down box with necessary links here. So it's less overwhelming for the assignee to read. And as and when he finishes or she finishes a step, they can go on to the next one to see what is required. The reason why we uploaded it in Canva is simply because of this. One is for editing. The second is here. Canva now allows you to publish a link. When I publish the link, by default, it shows the name of my company that has bought the subscription of Canva. This way, the client doesn't feel that they are getting a generic link, but they are getting one which is guarded with our company credentials. So we own that link and that information. Okay. We also did something called tax residency pre-brief, which is here. And that is this report. I'm sorry, it's taking a bit of time. So basically, I asked Claude to create a tax report from Helma for an American national coming to France and what all things it needs to be aware of. And it created this table of contents and all this information. And at the end, it tells you the source of information that it has taken the data from, which is something you should ask Claude to do always, so you can cross-verify the data. What is challenging now is that when you have something from Claude, clients will ask, what is the point of paying an advisor? So it is important to cross-check this information. But what happens many a times is that when you send such a thing to the customer is uploading it back in Claude to say, what are the information which is missing? Has this been created by AI? This is where, or this is why there is a fear among law firms that they would have to now reduce their hourly rates to justify the work that they are doing. Having said that, one key point, whenever you are using any AI tool, it would be best that you go here in your settings and make sure that you have unclicked the segment that says, can I use your, where is this? Is it in safety? Can I use your content for training? And the answer is always no. I don't want the content to be used for your training, because then it goes into public domain, and you don't want that. So even the free version allows you data controls, sorry. So improve the model for everyone. No, I don't want it to be improved for everyone. I want it for myself. And do I have one more example? Yes, the next one is a simple one, which is Copilot. So I will show you. I made a mistake when planning Eura meetings in Malta. I had put the wrong hour. So you can open, because Excel is part of the Microsoft universe. You always get a little button with Copilot Assistant. You can just tell, can you please move all the meetings by 1 hour, and it'll do it in one shot. It will ask you questions. For example, hi, there are meetings which only you are attending. There are meetings only Natalie is attending, and there are those with both. Which ones do you want me to move? So you work with AI so that it does it in one shot. For somebody who really hates Excel formulas, I don't need to know the formulas anymore. I will just say, here is the housing grid for Chennai. Please increase all the ones which are 4-bedroom villas by 5% since last year, and it will do it in one shot. I don't have to do it manually anymore. Here are some prompting do's and don'ts. Anyway, since you will have a recording of this, I would suggest that you read that when you do. But key things, please give context: who, what, why, and for whom, and let them know in what format you want the output to be in. Please, yeah, the do's, there is a long list of don'ts that I will focus on later on. Pricing and subscriptions. Again, I will let you check this when you're watching the video, because I have put what is the pricing for free, individual, and enterprise subscriptions for each of the tools that I've mentioned so far. Something that we have seen in France, I don't know if it exists in your country. It doesn't exist in India, but it might in your country in Europe, is that telecom operators like Orange is now offering a package deal. Like if you pay, I don't know, let's say 100 euros per month, we will give you that many automations from ChatGPT and Claude. So you don't have to buy separate subscriptions. You just do a deal with Orange. Caution. Please know that in the enterprise version, especially for Claude, it is not on a monthly basis, it's on a usage basis. So recently it was all over the news that a company spent $500 million in 30 days because the IT team did not put a cap on usage. Because when you have free usage of Claude, you use it for everything. Make an itinerary for me for Turkey, book my hotel details. When is the best time to travel to Japan? No, I'm only giving you travel examples because I like to travel. I mean, anything else more complex. But be careful when you want to subscribe at the enterprise level of any of the tools, see if there is a cap on usage and implement it by your IT team so that, well, you don't get this bill at the end of the month. Compliance and GDPR. So quickly then, long story short, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are not GDPR compliant till you buy the enterprise version. Copilot is, if you have the business standard, subscription, which we all have. So my suggestion always is use ChatGPT, use Copilot for all your searches, because Microsoft has anyway tied up with OpenAI, which is ChatGPT's or GPT universe. So don't upload, I don't know, a visa of or residence permit of an employee saying, what does the resident permit say? This is in another language. No, don't, I mean, you know that already. Never paste assignee names, passport numbers, salaries, family info, and so on. Check your training settings. That's what I showed you just now. Make sure you don't allow them to use your data for training or public use for every tool that you use in. If you are afraid, you are not sure, go in incognito mode for Claude, especially. Best is to use enterprise versions, but my suggestion for those who are starting off with AI, use the monthly $20 payment. Don't put anything GDPR related that you'll violate GDPR, but this is just to train yourself and work with AI tools to see what it can do for you. Know where data is processed. So some companies, perhaps a bit like ours, are very particular that the data is being processed within Europe or outside of Europe in US. What controls do we have? Because it has an impact on contracts we sign with our clients, including sustainability. I don't know how we justify that using a lot of AI. Some red flags. So AI tools, especially large language models, where you ask them questions, they give you answers, can sometimes give you fake information. So you need to double check. Many a times I have seen, especially with ChatGPT, no matter what you write, it will say, oh, you are right. Oh, you're right. No, but I cannot be always right. So you have to tell ChatGPT something much more specific. For instance, for my panel discussions, when I was preparing the content, I would ask ChatGPT, do you think if you're sitting in the audience and you're an industry peer, is my content boring? That is a more uh, specific questions where it's not a yes or no answer. Sometimes the data is old. So when you are trying to get salary, minimum salary requirements or documentation checklist or housing rental market price in a certain city, perhaps it's best to cross-verify the source of the information that they are giving you from. Often AI misses cultural nuances, which is true. When you write an email to an Indian HR versus you write an email to a French HR can be quite different. Don't rely heavily on AI alone. Be careful of copyright when you put it on AI or when you copy something from AI if they have just, I don't know, just giving you data from a news item or something like that where there are copyright, you might fall into copyright violation. Be careful of that. Always ask the source of information from where they have given you the answer. Okay, so things to do this week, or perhaps not this week, next week. Try one prompt. Perhaps write an MOM, perhaps update your templates that you have, email template, Excel template, reporting template, or internal training PPTs. We have we have uploaded our internal training PPTs onto Canva to make.
Unfortunately, Priya has frozen. She did warn me earlier there's construction work going on around her office and the internet did drop out this morning. So we'll wait a couple more minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to address a couple of the questions and comments that have come through the chat. Pauline, I think your question has probably been answered about checking data. I mean, Priya said, definitely always check the data that's come out. If it's a Paris guide, go back and check that that data is either up to date or correct. Fiona, thank you very much for putting your comments in about personal identifiable data and breaches of GDPR. I think we have just lost Priya, which is such a shame. We'll try and come back. But I'll just go through these very quickly. And just to introduce you, so Fiona Klomp is going to be running actually some briefings for us. Fiona is our new strategic consultant for public relations and communication, and she's going to be working with us to deliver more content about specifically how to potentially use tools like this. But the link that you've put in for the ABRA is brilliant. Thank you so much. Really, as Priya was saying, hey, I think we've got you back. As Priya was saying, to be super safe, just don't use any personal identifiable information in a large language model. But if you have switched off, because I think, Mari, you asked a question about, hello, I think we've got you back.
So you can have all the AI training and the internet can go off.
I know, exactly. I was just saying that. You go ahead. I'll come back to what we were talking about in a second.
So just no, I was at the end of the training anyway because we began with alcohol. I finished with alcohol. The goal is not to know everything about AI. The goal is to stay curious, keep learning, keep experimenting, make, I don't know, cards for children's birthday, and keep
Yeah.
moving forwards. In other words, keep walking. So that's about it.
Thank you so much. I have learned so much today. I mean, there are things that I think, as I say, the questions that were coming through the chat were very much about checking data. Pauline, you asked about checking data for the Paris guide that you've done. In most circumstances, would you say if you're paying for one of the agentics or a large language model, that data is pretty up to date, I would imagine?
Uh, yes, it's pretty up to date. I would say the paid version is pretty up to date, but always check when there is something like immigration specific documentation checklist or tax regulations. Just ask where they have got the information from. If it's from some random site, then it's not right. If it's from a reliable source, that is why I always ask them to mention the source from where they have
Yeah,
given us this information.
that
But
that
for
is.
templates, it's quite easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, a lot of the comments that were coming through were to do with protecting yourself in terms of GDPR. And I think you answered that very clearly, which is just if in doubt, don't use personal information, right?
Or just use Copilot because all of you have business standard subscription of MS Office. Use Copilot because Copilot search is anyway GDPR protected. I will try
Yeah,
to show you. Do I have Copilot? No, I have. Yeah. S-
yeah,
So this is my Copilot. And you can just chat here like you chat on ChatGPT, and there is
yeah.
no fear of uploading documents because this is GDPR
Fine.
protected, compliant.
Amazing. Amazing. Pauline just made a really good comment, which is let's get each other to check our AI generated city guides. Great idea. So if you need one checked for somewhere in the Netherlands, Belgium, then go to Pauline. That's a great idea. Very good question again. Thank you, Pauline. Not sure if anyone's asked this question, but how is our AI use checked related to the quality seal? I'm really pleased that you asked that because we've got our annual review of the seal coming up in November, and we actually want to get on top of that because currently ISO has not. I'm absolutely certain that they will be making adjustments to the ISO 9001 in relation to that, but we need to get ahead of that and do that. So I have had that conversation with Martina Sharbo, so thank you very much for bringing that up. Priya, you're getting so many lovely messages of thanks and how really informative that was. I can't tell you how much I've learned. One comment that came in really early on from James, which was a really interesting one, was we don't really, and I hadn't really thought about this, and it's just a general comment, but the idea that we don't actually yet know the cost of AI because it's been so heavily subsidized by government and by venture capital. So that's a really interesting question. And related to that, I think somebody then commented, you never know, as we see the true cost of AI and as AI becomes more expensive, the example that you used with Claude and running away with costs, that actually maybe people might become a more cost-effective solution again at some point in the future.
Yes, and also, for instance, I think it depends on because a lot of the participants here perhaps are company owners and managers. I think it is for them to decide the budget and the cap
Yeah,
initially. It's impossible that all employees will move at the same speeds and get on board with AI. I can
yeah,
see even within our company, there are some who are resistant because they don't want to, they're hesitant to learn. There are those who are green and don't
yeah,
want to use a lot of AI because of sustainability.
yeah.
And then so not everybody learns at the same speed. So perhaps don't buy a AI product for all users. Maybe buy for
Right.
three and then see if it
Yeah.
works for the rest. So perhaps that is a way to control or manage costs.
Yeah. There, Bell. Hello. Thank you very much for your comment. Is there a guideline for our industry how we can offset the immense energy consumption and be gentle? There isn't, but I can tell you that Bryony Horde, who's on the call, our operations manager, will be looking at that with the Coalition for Associations that we've created, the Coalition for Associations of Global Mobility, because this is a huge thing. I mean, as you said at the very start, there's been all of the controversy in the States about farmers and the use of resources and water in particular. So again, that would be something that the Coalition for Associations of Global Mobility will definitely be looking at, and hopefully introducing some guidelines into offsetting projects, because as we are continuing to use, I mean, what the way that you've used it to create those incredible spreadsheets, and I mean, you really know how to get the most out of these systems, and I am so far behind you. I'm really impressed.
Oh, thank you. I mean, there are others who have way ahead and using agentic AI already,
Yeah.
but just an example of, we can all do it. It wasn't complicated, really. I'm not the most
You're quite a hero
AI.
as well. It's it's extraordinary. I have learned so much. Priya, thank you so much. As I said at the start of the call, this is recorded, so I'll get the edit done over the weekend, and I will send you the recording of this, and it will be on YouTube. But you guys, because you all signed up, will get it first. It's one of those things, I think, that for me, Priya, I will be going back over this because there were so many, and Bryony, I know we'll be talking about this as well. I didn't realize that Canva linked so cleverly to AI. So it's a steep learning curve, but I hope that you all got a lot out of this. I know that I did. I'm so grateful for you for doing this. And I know that later in the year, we're planning to do another series on AI as well. So we will keep you in touch with that. We've got a fairly robust program of briefings coming up now, from September through to the conference in Lyon. And in the meantime, it just remains, thank you so much, Priya. I'm so grateful. This has been fascinating. You can see from the notes that are coming in, everyone's really, really taken a lot from this. I wish you a
Thank you
fantastic.
so much, Tom.
It was great. Have a
I
have a
I just
sorry, go
wanted to
on,
say one last thing quickly, is because
please.
it's been recorded. I had put a slide on pricing, but please note the pricing is as per today. It might
Yes.
change 3 months down the line, so you will have to check that again, and it might be different for every country a little bit. But that's it.
Yeah,
But thank you
absolutely.
so much, everyone, for staying back and listening. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you so much for everyone for being with us. But Priya, thank you so much for doing this. It's been fascinating. Recording will be online very shortly. And have a great weekend, everyone. And thank you for joining us. And Priya, thank you
Happy
again.
weekends.
Lovely to
Thank
see you. Thanks a
you.
lot, everybody. Bye, everyone. Bye.